So I hate to break it to many of the people in the audience who think that just more guns in more places will make everybody safer. But there was at least one armed officer at the school in Uvalde, Texas yesterday, where this horrible mass shooting took place. There was at least one armed officer there who was unable to stop the incident. OK, so what Republicans are now going to is no. This isn't about guns or gun safety or whatever. We need more guns in school so that the teachers and the administrators and the janitors and the whoever can protect the kids. Let's go to some examples from yesterday. This is the immediate aftermath of the shooting in Uvalde, Texas. Asked on Newsmax how he would deal with the school shooting problem in Texas, the Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton said, well, let's arm the teachers.
As you well know, the state of Texas, not a stranger to shootings that either begin in schools or wander into schools. I know your team has dealt with this before. What were some of the solutions? And I know that Governor Abbott and Lieutenant Governor Patrick have also come up with task forces to harden these
task forces. And guys, what about the guns?
Schools, so they're not easy targets, easy prey for crazy people who go nuts with firearms. What can you tell us has been?
Remember, crazy people who go nuts with firearms. Well, I'd rather have crazy people who go nuts with a knife than with assault rifles. That's just me.
Talked about in the past, what has been implemented and what hasn't been.
Yeah, sadly, this has happened again, and it's a horrible tragedy. But the types of things that we talked about, and I'll never forget it after the Santa Fe shooting, was having one point of entry, making it more difficult for people even to get in that point of entry, make sure that and having potentially teachers and other administrators who have gone through training and who are armed. Because
teachers and administrators who have gone through training and who are armed, they're all on this bandwagon. Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick went on Tucker Carlson's show last night and said, let's harden the targets.
We can do a lot of things, and Texas has done a lot of things after the Santa Fe shooting. Obviously, we have to do more. We have to harden these targets so no one can get in ever except through one entrance. Maybe that would help. Maybe that would stop someone. But it's really bigger than that, Tucker. We're a coarse society. We're a society that's just at each other's throats all the time. And we're better than this as a nation.
We have to harden targets. Schools now, they have to be hardened. And at least Dan Patrick is getting at the fact that there is a cultural component here, although he would say it's just political disagreement. If the liberals would just let us ban abortion and put guns everywhere and make taxes on the rich zero, all these things. Well, actually, part of the problem is the gun culture of the United States. Radical Republican Texas Senator Ted Cruz said, "Oh yeah, you've got to just arm the teachers, and rather you've got to have more armed cops there."
We know from past experience that the most effective tool for keeping kids safe is armed law enforcement on the campus. You know, inevitably, when there's a murder of this kind, you see politicians try to politicize it. You see Democrats and a lot of folks in the media whose immediate solution is to try to restrict the constitutional rights of law-abiding citizens. That doesn't work.
Yeah. And then lastly, a Newsmax host named, I believe this is Grant Stinkfield. He says you've got to have armed good guys at the schools. That's the only way.
Well, folks, by now you have heard about this animal that went into Robb Elementary School this morning in the tiny, I'll call it a border town called Uvalde, Texas. This animal murdered 18 elementary school kids and 3 adults now. Numbers keep rising. My heart aches for the loved ones of all of the victims. As I watch the media today play out its wall-to-wall coverage of the shooting, they only seem to talk about guns, deranged, violent individuals, and how we keep guns out of their hands. If you want to save lives, you can talk about that. It's important. But the number one issue that needs to be discussed is how do you stop a gunman the moment he comes calling? The answer is secure our schools. It's still not happening. And in my opinion, institute programs where school faculty can carry in school after going through in-depth training on a voluntary basis.
Yeah. So listen, there are reports that 2 Uvalde police officers and a school resource officer fired at the shooter, but weren't able to stop him from entering the building. That's one report. We're still working on confirming that. But at minimum, according to Eric Estrada from the Texas Department of Public Safety, There was at least the school district police officer who worked at the school and saw the shooter with a rifle, with body armor, engaged the suspect and was unable to stop him. So quite literally, there were supposed good guys with guns there, and they still didn't stop him. Now, their reaction, instead of saying, well, maybe the problem is how easily the kid got guns, they say, we just didn't have enough good guys with guns at the school. You essentially need an army there. They will not stop until it is... They would rather turn schools almost into like forward operating bases, reminiscent of the military, rather than restrict access to guns. And by the way, the people now they're saying, let's give the guns to the teachers. These are the same teachers that for the last 2 years, they've been saying these are the indoctrinators. These are the critical race theory teaching, irresponsible indoctrinators who are grooming our kids. Those are the people that now they want to give the guns to. It's whatever will justify keeping as many guns as possible around. That's the bottom line. The rest of the world looks at us like we're insane. And at some point you have to wonder, are we insane? When you look at correlation isn't necessarily causation, but look at this correlation between guns and mass shootings from the New York Times. The U.S. has the most guns and the most shootings. No one else is even close in guns. No one else is even close in shootings. Now, I concede we have a problem here with gun culture, but the same people that want to keep the guns around like that culture. So they're not going to solve that. There is sometimes a mental illness component, but the people saying that's the problem don't want to fund treatment for mental health. But might it not be worth seeing what happens if we limit the number of guns that are out there? And I hate to be so negative and cynical, but if nothing was done after 26 kids were killed in Sandy Hook in 2012, is something ever going to be done about this? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. Science has shown us that lowering your body temperature at night improves sleep in many ways. Our sponsor, Chili Sleep, creates systems that cool down your bed, promoting deeper, higher quality sleep. It also just feels great. I use it at home. I'd recommend it to anyone, and I've recommended it to some friends who now use it as well. Chili Sleep's product, the Ooler, the Cube, and the Dock Pro, they're all water-based, temperature-controlled pads that fit onto your existing mattress. You can keep your bed as low as 55 degrees, as hot as 115 degrees. I like 60. Their new Dock Pro sleep system has double the cooling power of other models, 5 times the cooling contact, whisper quiet. You can control it with your phone. It's awesome. With Chili Sleep, there's no more feeling hot at night, no more sweating. Cooling your bed down like this is amazing. You really have to try it for yourself. When you go to chilisleep.com/Pacman, you'll get 30% off the Ooler and Cube sleep systems and 10% off the new Dock Pro. This offer is only for my audience. The link is down below.